You might not know this, but the world is teeming with life. What goes on in the body? There's something special about growing, and
this particular
the mind has endless capabilities.
There's a lot of
Heavy metals interrupt
their DNA.
ATP synthase.
ATP. Okay, there's
Just
the cell
imagine
wall.
the small. We can learn so much about our ancestry. Reading,
And I think we're moving more and
it's a new
more
type
towards
of entire body.
more of this.
What are they teaching? Bunch of systems.
There are
DNA
worlds that we haven't even
DNA polymerase
seen
III.
yet. Why does
All in a drop of water.
doctors know
The
a lot?
universities
There's more in our bodies that we don't know about than we do.
Welcome back, everyone, to Beyond Being Well. I am one of your co-hosts, Cy Szynski.
And I'm Dr. Ryan Keegan. I just want to say I'm not a doctor.
And today we are going to meet someone actually Ryan has already met.
Yeah, so if I can get into that a little bit. So I started traveling again. You know, I've been kind of on my back with this Lyme disease issue. So haven't been traveling that much.
Not that long.
Yeah, I decided to do, an inside the country visit to sort of a free range farm because I was looking at different sources for my diet for meat.
We're both true carnivore.
Head to tail, true carnivore diet. So my journey to find, a free range farm to get my meat from. And I actually just came back with a whole cow of meat from this amazing farm. And I met the owner of the farm, and we really bonded. And I asked her to come onto the show, and she's here today.
And it's wonderful because this is my first time meeting her.
Yeah, so if you want to introduce yourself, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Laramie F. Goode, Dr. Laramie F. Goode. Thank you guys so much for having me on your show. I'm a big fan.
We're so happy to have you on, and we just think you have so much to offer the show. Like what you're doing at your farm is astounding. So we just want to get into it.
Yeah, so is it pretty much any other farm, or are we talking about a different type of farm?
We're talking about a different type of farm in that, there's a level of personability that I like to bring to my work that I don't think I've seen in other farms that I've been to. And one of the things I've been working on is actually a new type of slaughtering the animals. A lot of people have concerns about eating animals that have been killed in, less than pleasant ways. So I've kind of come up with a new style. It's not FDA approved. Really, I haven't found actually anybody who supports it except for myself and my husband, Greg.
So it's a new style. This is a new style.
It's a new style, never been done before, and it's very in the moment, it's very of the moment, you could say. It's very time sensitive.
Spontaneous killing?
No, actually, it's literally the opposite of spontaneous because it's actually a very long process. So, in the age of social media, I think, something we need to talk about is that animals are smart. They are really smart.
Oh,
that's something we talk about all the time.
This is something I've actually been talking about Ryan and putting on a shirt. Okay?
Yeah.
Animals are smart.
Sure.
And more we're learning that they're actually smarter than we ever thought. That's crazy.
Frankly, I've met more animals that I connected to than people, and I know a lot of farmers say that, but I think I really mean it. All of my animals have socials, so that's something that we do differently at my farm that I've never seen anywhere else. And by social, I mean profiles. I mean these animals are out there. There are hashtags, there are followings, and that that's how you get people on board.
Yeah, so like I followed the cow that I have in my freezer.
That's right, Stephanie. Was it Stephanie?
Yeah. So I sort of like it's just an amazing program you have because I can just watch this cow grow. I get to know all of its, diet, its habits,
Absolutely.
its likes and dislikes, and then I get to eat it.
And a question I have is actually, do you get a hold of the account when you purchase the animal? So will you be updating it with your meals?
Well, so actually, this is where it's a bit controversial because the process goes as this. So we like to introduce our animals to the internet at a very young age because we want to kind of assimilate them to the way things work out there. And people love babies. They love little
They
babies.
love babies.
There's nothing
And
wrong with that.
there's nothing wrong with that. And you know what? I myself, often I have a hard time seeing the worth in these animals beyond that point. I have to be honest. And it's just
Mhm.
natural. It's like most people want a puppy for their family. They don't want a grown dog with, tumors and, that kind of stuff that
No, and
happens.
It's not right.
if there's one thing that's better than an adult animal, it's honesty.
That's right. Absolutely. And, this is where it becomes a bit controversial, as I was saying, because, we put them out there as puppies, you could say, as little babies, and they really grow a following, and people respond to them, and they're such smart creatures that I'll show them I'll read them their comments, I'll show them how many followers they have. But that's not going to last for very long, because animals grow. They're like people. They grow, they get bigger.
And Dr. Goode, if I may ask, what is the response from, the followers of these accounts when the animal passes on to the next life?
Yeah, are there any sort of straggler followers that don't understand really what's going to happen towards the end of this animal's life, and that this account is really for the purpose of guiding them to the death of the?
Yeah, well, that's where it's kind of a big mystery, because they'll stop hearing from these animals, and I get a lot of DMs. Let me tell you, I get a lot of DMs. I didn't know what the word meant until I started really posting these animals, and I realized people had questions that I couldn't answer. And but back to the process, because I really want to tell you guys kind of the nitty-gritty.
So we're getting into the slaughtering method now?
Sure, yeah. So let's get into the slaughtering method. So you want to know how you got a cow in your freezer to be, how do you get from a cute little baby cow, to like a big animal that you're going to eat in many meals over many days.
And enjoy.
And may I just interrupt real quick? I think it's important for our audience to know, where is the animal coming from? Where is it coming from? Because we eat so much crap. We eat so much crap, and we don't know where it's coming from.
Cows in cages, being fed grain.
Yeah.
Or we don't know that they're in a cage. We can't even imagine what their living style is. And that's what's flawed. You need to appreciate what it tastes far better if you learn where you are taking the animal from.
You know what, Sai? You are so right. And let me tell you, there was a period where I just ate feed. There was a period where I ate feed for 2 out of 3 meals a day, because I wanted to understand what my animals were feeling in their tummies, in their bellies, and in the heart of themselves. And I get very attached to these animals. There was a period where, frankly, I couldn't feed myself. My husband Greg would actually have to feed me like a mother bird, because I couldn't look at it. I couldn't look at it, but I knew I needed it. No, the animals. This is another period. Yeah, I've gone through quite a few stints of trying different things. But
wait, I have a question. So for the feed phase,
yeah,
so you were eating cow feed exclusively?
I was eating chicken feed, actually.
Oh, so okay, chicken feed exclusively.
Chicken feed, yeah, as one might say, as an appetizer. An appetizer period in my life before.
Okay, that makes sense. It was an appetizers phase.
Sometimes in life we get locked into these phases, and maybe for Sai and I right now, it's the carnivore diet. I know we have been on other diets in the past,
but this one's the best, so that's why
this one's by far the best. We've sort of reached the peak of diets and like what's the best for us. But I was just wondering, how'd you get out of that phase in your life?
Why do we wax our lovers' backs? It's a labor of love. And that's what I realize, is that in order to truly love something, sometimes you have to destroy it. Sometimes you have to use every part of it for your own good, for your own well-being.
Head to damn tail.
Yeah, sometimes I'll find little hairs in my mouth that are really, real sharp, kind of hard ones, I know that they didn't come from my husband. They came from our stock.
So you really put yourself in the shoes or the horseshoes of your animals, and then from there you really understood them, came to love them, and then you knew how to take care of them. Is that what you're saying?
And how to let
Yep,
them go.
from the hooves up, that's how you gotta get right in there in order to understand. You have to be an animal because we are animals, and that's true.
No, we are animals.
Oh my
We are.
gosh.
That's another shirt that I've been pitching. We are animals.
We are animals. Animals are smart, and we're the smartest animals, but we don't always do the smartest things.
Well,
No.
and that's right, and that's where, our heart comes in, as opposed to these animals. They're just sweet, they're just
Yeah.
sweet, and they don't know why. Often we're just sweet because we want to get something, we want to get something out of the situation. But
Right.
animals don't have that. Animals are pure, and that's where the love comes in. And it's also where the death has to come in, unfortunately.
So I'd
Yeah.
love to know how Stephanie, the cow that's in my freezer, passed. But also I would also love to know like what animals you had on the farm that I didn't necessarily get to see when I was there. I saw the cows, of course, and I saw a few pigs, and I know you have chickens. So is there anything else you have there?
I've got my sheepdog, Sandstorm. I will go for a jog and he'll just herd me, he'll herd me like an animal. Soon as I start to get, panting out of breath, it's like, arf, arf, and I'm right back on track. And
again,
that's
it's
really
sort
all
of
I need.
it's sort of this theme of you getting back into the process.
Absolutely.
You're giving back.
It's a circle. It's all a circle, Sai. It's a circle.
Yeah, one of the most fundamental shapes.
So you have a dog and chicken, cow, pig.
Yes.
Any unique varieties of animals?
Well, you know what? And I'll let you in on a little secret. I haven't even told my husband Greg yet, but I've been working on, it's not quite legal, but I've been working on accumulating some penguins, a handful of penguins. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. This is actually helpful for, say, global warming, because I'm actually acclimating them to a warmer environment. So, when the earth melts, as it will, they'll be here with us. It's melting so fast. We have to get these guys here so that they can live the way we live. They can live the way cows live, because somebody's got to save them, and nobody's saving the earth. So let's get those guys over here.
So this is sort of an additional process to you farming. This is a side labor of love, right?
Any penguin accounts up yet that I could follow?
Gotta be careful with the penguin accounts, because like I said, it's not totally legal what I've been doing, which, really shouldn't be talking about it, but I know that it's such a good cause that I think, everybody's got to understand. Who doesn't love a penguin? Who doesn't love a penguin?
Oh, and I don't want to be first one to let them see them go, right?
Yeah. I mean,
so I also saw that when I was at your farm that you had many plant varieties growing there, and edible plant varieties. So I think we should break that down and discuss why are you growing plants?
Because we're finding that plants are very toxic, and so I'm a little bit even wary of the plants for the purposes of your farm animals eating it.
Sure. Yeah, well, you know what? That's fair. And here's the thing about plants. Plants are nature's other animal. You're exactly right to be concerned about them, because there's all kinds of crap that the plants are just sucking up. They're sucking it up in their roots. And, I don't buy into that. And that's why all of my plants are fertilized by my animals. So it ends up being a cycle, because they eat, and then they, if I may, poop, and then they eat again. It's like it's just a constant cycle from the ground to the mouth to the ground to the mouth.
The animals are farming the plants?
Yes, and that's why I don't even have a staff. This is something that a lot of people don't realize. They're my property managers. They're my friends, they're my children, and they are my property.
Wow, that's actually groundbreaking in terms of what we can see from farms. Something I'm wondering is, are there any wages that you kind of allot, as an alternative to a monetary wage for these animals.
Yeah, well, you know what? It goes back to social media, screen time. And that's the core of, who's going to be eating them eventually is like their fan base. So to me, when an animal does a good job for me, it tells me that they deserve more attention than they're getting from the internet.
Right. So they're basically, if they do well, say they have a better harvest or they're a little bit more efficient in the amount of corn they plant, right? Then they may see that in more posts that they maybe on their Instagram
Absolutely.
accounts.
Here's the thing, a less active animal means a less active account. And that's just how it is. Fewer posts. If you're not going to pull your weight, you're going to get fewer posts, and therefore you're going to have fewer fans and fewer followers. And you know what? It's the same thing for us, isn't it? It's the same thing for people.
Yeah.
So why would I treat them any different? Because that's
Amen.
love.
What did you get your doctorate in?
Child psychology, if you can believe it.
So what made you have the transition from child psychology to farming?
Love. Just one word, love. And it goes back to, what I was saying, it's a labor of love. And I didn't want kids because I didn't love kids. Sometimes you make decisions not because of love, but because of a lack of love. And I didn't feel any love towards kids. I didn't feel any connection at the end of the day. And then I realized animals are just like kids, but they're not yammering at you. And they're keeping to themselves, and you can
Right.
you can eat them. Let's face it. They're
I think
useful.
that's interesting. That's an interesting distinction, and maybe a lesson to be learned is that when people think about love, they think about this pile of love, but there's also a pile that's just an outline of love, right? And
Sure.
that can be utilized as well, or it can contribute to decision making.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Dr. Goode, something I've really been struggling with, internally, and something maybe you can help reassure me is, there's talk about, livestock producing methane and, that leads to global warming. Can you just put those rumors to bed for me?
Yeah.
Ryan, sometimes instead of putting something to bed, you've got to tear the covers off. You got to expose what's really going on there. And what's really going on is not good. I'll be honest, it's not good. And, yes, eating meat is not great for the environment, but a lot of things aren't great for the environment. And
That's true.
frankly, at this point, it seems like pretty much everything is bad for the environment. Taking a breath seems like it's bad for the environment.
Taking what?
Taking a breath.
So you're saying meat is bad then? That's what you're saying?
I'm not saying meat is bad. I'm saying sometimes our processes of getting the meat are bad. And, this is why I'm bringing penguins onto my farm, because you know what? The ship's sinking. The ship is the planet, and the ship is sinking. And, what am I going to do except do my duty?
Build the ship more.
No, not even build the ship.
No?
It's how there were
Maybe we have to learn to
people-
swim.
No, not even learn to swim. It's getting some people to jump off that boat and start building a new boat right out of the water, And to do that, you've got to have somebody who's willing to stand by and play the violin while the ship goes down. And that's what I like to think my role is. You'll be the ones building, and I will be the one playing the music. And
Right.
either way, the ship's going to go down, but guess what? When it goes under, there's a whole other ship right there just waiting to be sailed.
I'm thinking maybe the next episode there could be some other ship options, but maybe you're right. Maybe you're right with that. Maybe oils will just be the route to go.
Yeah, we might have to go back to oil.
Well, I think everyone sort of wants to hear about what is this new slaughtering system.
Yeah, so, I like to kind of go the old-fashioned route here. Now, if you guys can recall falling asleep when you were kids, I don't know what kind of parents you had. Mine were pretty absent, but I always wanted them to sing to me before I went to sleep and do a little performance for me. So with the help of my husband, Greg, who does a little bit of a dance for them, I will kind of get in their ear and I'll kind of sing, hum some notes like a, just a long note, just
Right.
one note, because they don't really understand the words.
They
So
might though.
they might
No,
understand the
but
words,
they're
but
smart.
I'm not that worried about it. I don't care that much.
No, sometimes melody says it all, right?
Sometimes melody says more than words could, especially in these situations. I find that just a soothing note is really,
It
really
paints
the
a
way to get
thousand
out.
words.
It really does. It paints a picture for them of what's to come. Once once the bad part is over, as I would like to to call it. Greg will do a little dance for him, and I'll do my little song, and you know, I don't know how else to say it other than we beat the crap out of them, and that's just the hard truth of it.
Yeah, and I'm appreciative of your candor.
It's a hard truth
Thank
to
you.
swallow, but it leads to swallowing the best
Right.
food anyone can have.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
One swallow to another.
And it's especially great because plants are toxic, so it's perfect for us.
Yeah.
Um,
But they're sort of the silent killer because they can't really move or make sounds, but
yeah, so animals are more of the smart ones, and plants are sort of idiots in that.
yeah,
in
so
that regard.
you shouldn't really associate with them. There's evidence to suggest that once we started farming plants, our brains actually shrunk.
Yeah, it's one of the worst mistakes that humans have ever made.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
farming
Very
has
interesting.
ultimately
No offense, no offense, no offense, no offense.
No, hey, listen, I haven't picked up a vegetable in probably 3 years.
Yeah, your animals do it, right?
They pick up all
And
the
No, that's
vegetables.
and what are
great.
you eating?
I don't touch them,
What are you eating these days?
Like I said, it was really hard for me to start eating meat. I had a bit of a traumatic childhood. Uh, I don't want to go too far in depth, but I was removed from a cult, an animal cult, at a young age. This is touching on a very, very sensitive matter for me, so I won't go into it too much. I'll start getting real emotional,
That's
which
okay.
we don't want that. Or maybe we do. Maybe
No, I mean emotions are not really. They're not really
We're
scientific.
more of science rather than emotions, but we do like animal emotions.
some say that science is impersonal, but honestly, I think science is the most personal.
I think you know what? I think you would get along really well with Christopher Nolan. We had him back on the podcast.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
I'm not a big
Must have
fan.
missed that one.
no, he was actually using lion for some experiments, which was pretty cool. Pretty cool to see.
Before we wrap up, thank you so much, Dr. Good, for coming on the
Thank
show.
you, Dr. Good.
Thank you.
What you're doing is amazing, and you're going to be my meat provider for the foreseeable future.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Ryan.
And one more announcement before we finish the episode. I'm actually going to be on my feet again, going on a full-length retreat.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're feeling well enough to go then.
I mean, occasionally I still feel the aches and pains, but I'm thinking I can get through it. And, I'll be hitting the city and doing a sort of psychedelic meditation retreat. And I'm really looking forward to bringing that back to the show.
Wow, can't wait to hear about it. I think that's it.
That's it.
This has been Beyond Being Well.
Beyond Being Well.
I am Cy Szynski.
And I'm Dr. Ryan Pegan. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.
See you next time.